Hello, everybody. This is Bala here. Hope all of you are doing well. I am so excited to bring you the next episode of podcast with runners. For those of you who are seeing it for the first time, this is one of the most popular content that we produce. We as in Runners High with Bala team produces. And the goal here is to talk with fellow runners, fellow friends, full marathoners, half marathoners, talking about themselves, understanding who these people are, what they have done, and how they have, achieved some greatness in the last many months and many seasons, and learn from them. That's the idea. And historically, it's been the most sought after content. So in that spirit, I cannot wait to introduce the next set of three, as I say, iron ladies, truly iron ladies, and introduce them or reintroduce them in some cases to all of you through this forum. So without much further ado, let me invite the first guest and allow her to introduce herself. Please go ahead.
Hi there, I'm Nayana Gadkari. This is my second season in Runners High with Bala. I live in New Jersey now, but I moved to the US a little over 22 years ago. I am originally from Mumbai, born and brought up. I am a biochemist and a microbiologist by education from the University of Mumbai, KJ Somaiya College. Awesome. But something took a drastic turn from that. I am now a HR director in the life sciences domain. So I didn't really run back home in school or college other than, running to catch buses, trains, because, Mumbai. I did play basketball, though, for my school for a number of years. And the only time I would run at that point was, during practice. If I fouled more than 3 times, my coach would make us do laps around the school playground, and it was sheer misery. I met my husband, Abhijit, when we were studying, and, we have a very DDLJ sort of a love story, which I know he will get into, with you if you catch him on a good day. But, these days it's, mostly, and of course, horror movies since we work from home together. He works in the actuarial sciences insurance industry. And, someday I will stay awake long enough to hear him out on what he actually does. But I also have a 14-year-old son, Rishi. He's a freshman in high school. Again, incidentally or consequentially, I don't know, but he is on the high school track and cross country team. And he's actually pretty good at it. And unlike his mom, he runs very, very fast. And, some days he comes home with like a 5-minute mile split and tells me that he sucked, which is why I always tell everybody fast or slow is all relative. It really doesn't mean anything.
Oh my goodness, 5 minutes and he feels it slow. I got to meet him. I got to learn from him for sure. I'm so happy to have you join us, Naina. And when you said Mumbai, we have like so many runners from Mumbai, or, born and brought up in Mumbai. So which part of Mumbai you were?
From a suburb called Ghatkopar. Yep, I don't know how many of you all know that. Indu, you know that for sure, but...
Of course, I have so many friends in Ghatkopar. So
you do? Okay.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Like, as I said, right, there are so many runners in our group from Mumbai. So it's always good to, get that connect. Even I studied in Mumbai. So I kind of know a lot of areas in Mumbai, like maybe more than Chennai, as college, when you study, then maybe I know many more places in Mumbai probably than you, because I was in a residential college, military residential college, and we used to really, it's one of the greatest cities in India, or in the world, I should say. So it's great to have you. And the DDLG story, is it like something like you went on a nice vacation and, you kind of bumped into your husband? Is that how it is?
A little more than that. It will need more than just water.
I will make sure I'll double click on that at some point. You have intrigued me on that. My favorite movie is also DDLJ. So that's great. Awesome. Thank you, Naina. Welcome to the podcast. And I will definitely come back to you with more questions. Let's invite the next guest. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shalini. I'm from Chennai. More specifically from the North Chennai, Perambur. Yeah. While in school, I was doing some sports, but not much, like maybe throw ball, team sports, Kho-Kho. I don't know how many of you know about Kho-Kho. I don't know if anyone plays that anymore.
It's a nice game. I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah. And then I did some track, but I was not fast. Probably, most of the time I was probably second to last. And then, after joining college, I went to med school, like Stanley Medical College.
Yeah.
Sports took a, backseat, and I never did anything. I came to US about 21 years ago. I never did any sports activities, maybe a gym here and there, but nothing much. So I'm here I am.
And I'm sure you have a family of runners that you would like to introduce.
Yeah, my whole family is running. My husband, Raghuprasad, is a ultra marathoner. My two daughters also have done half marathons with Runners High.
And you are also practicing here, right, Shalini?
Yeah. I'm practicing as a pediatrician in New Jersey. I also joined as an assistant coach with Runners High this season.
Absolutely. I mean, Shalini is one of those amazing, incredible success stories of Runners High. Somebody who just started with zero or maybe even negative interest about running and anything close to cardio, to a runner who can just go and dish out full marathons just like that, with her own self-motivation, and never misses a training day, hot, cold, you name it. An absolute inspiration. And now she's an assistant coach. And by all things I'm hearing, she is most sought after assistant coach right now from her runners. She takes special interest for her runners. She studies. She's a doctor. I mean, I can keep going on and on. So Shalini, thank you for first inspiring so many people, so many ladies, so many girls. I think you are the first of the women runners who joined from the beginning, as in without any running background, to do the full cycle and just finish off a full marathon. Not one, couple of them now. So that's inspiring, and that has inspired a whole lot of generation of runners. So that's great. And then as an AC, as a doctor and an AC, that's even more. You've done so much for from women runners. You've shared your thoughts, and I mean, I can keep going on. So it's always inspiring to see someone to go beyond and give to the community. And RHW is RHWB for people like yourself, to contribution from people like yourself. So thank you. And of course, Dr. Shalini's husband, Mr. Raghu, aka Bahubali, is our first ultra marathoner. And if people who want to know a little bit more about him, go back and check out a podcast that I did with him. Talks about how he got into COVID, and then I think 1 month later or so, he went and did an ultra marathon or something like that. Some crazy story like that. So it's an inspiring family overall, great friends. So welcome, Shalini, and can't wait to talk more about your journey and your learnings and your experiences. With that, let's welcome the last but not the least guest in our group. Please go ahead.
Hi there, my name is Indu, and I live in Hillsborough, New Jersey, basically from Mumbai, Mulund, which is a central suburb, kind of the last station of Mumbai on the central side. And I moved here around close to 22 years ago. I studied in Mumbai University, actually SIS College, which is in Sion. Did my bachelor's and master's in chemistry there. And then here we moved to Chicago for the first 6 years. And then 2006 is when I came to New Jersey and ended up in the supply chain industry. I don't know how, like how Nayana said, being a chemist, but ended up in supply chain. Right now I'm into analytics, and I really enjoy what I'm doing. My husband, actually, his name is also Bala. He works for one of the major telecom industries. Two girls, 14, almost 15 and 13. They are also into, like tennis, running. They do basically, they are into cross country and track. And talking about sports, school, I was absolutely, in fact, I used to be the last in my team. I used to dread those days when I used to be called for a race. The best I could think of is a substitute in a sport like Kho-Kho. That's all I used to get, and I never used to play. After 7th, I barely remembered playing any sport. But yeah, and here I am.
And also, she's also an assistant coach in our group this time. Thank you, Indu, for giving more time and your interest for all of us. Indu is one another fascinating story, right? The first time, just for audience, first time I met Indu, I think she came and did a small run in our Runners High, one of the Runners High event. And at the time, I just got a little bit of introduction, and that was pretty much it. And then, of course, she pretty much knew everybody, every runner in Runners High through Strava. She's, I think she has a job waiting in Strava anytime she chooses. She knows so much about Strava, I think more than the founder of Strava only. That is how much time she spends in Strava, because she's a true lover of running and running metrics, and also connecting with other runners. That's something that's shown through in Indu. And then one day she calls me and then she says, "Hey, Bala, I would like to join this thing, but I have a further deeper sort of motivation. I like to sort of coach others. I've done my little coaching 5K, some of the kids around my community. So can I start coaching?" I was like, wow, this is just like, normally I would like to get runners, make them interested, passionate about running, and then make them some kind of a support for me and assistant coach. This girl comes to me, directly says, "I want to do that." So like all my hard work, I can just afford to shortcut and directly make her an assistant coach. So then I thought through a little bit and I said, why don't you just go through this program first? Make sure you understand what you're getting in, and still, if you like it, next time, we can do it. And that's exactly what she did. I coached her for her first full marathon, which is what we're going to talk about. What a pleasure she was. And here she is, and I know she's enjoying every moment of her this avatar of AC avatar as well as a runner avatar. So Indu, thank you for everything you do for the community, especially our SWB community. You are a true heart of gold in giving to people, and so thank you. And it's you always inspire me with anything and everything you do. So thank you, Indu. And of course, her husband's name is Bala. That means he must be amazing. So that's like it's a fantastic combination there. Jokes aside. Okay, this is great. Welcome, guys. Welcome to this podcast. And let's get to the next sort of set of questions. Then let's start with Dr. Shalini. Talk about how did you get into running? What prompted you to get into running, and how did that drastic action happen in your life?
Because of you were my neighbor, and I had no other option. Yes. Okay. After the first season of the Runners High, there was a meeting or the State of the Union. I attended that one because all the kids, the children, they did 8K and everyone. So that motivated me, and I really wanted to get into fitness, and I thought, let me just give it a try. My husband ran a half marathon that season. So I thought, okay, let me give it a try, And I didn't have a clue what I was getting into. I just jumped into coach to half marathon, and so that's how I got into it.
Yeah, I remember. The history of RSWB in season 1, we have told this audience multiple times. Yeah. It was just kids, 8 or 9 kids, and trained them, give all my heart to them. And they just inspired their parents, right? So part of this, the early days of State of the Union was not about anything to get the kids to sort of make them little bit brag about themselves so that they feel energetic in continuing the journey. And then I realized at that time that, while that is happening, maybe I'll teach them presentation skills, because that's something that will help the kids. So I gave them a small, like 1-hour course on how to present PowerPoint and how to stand, how to move your hands and all that thing. And then I said, all the parents, you better come and support these 8 kids who have done some unbelievable things, and, be an attentive audience and make them feel as if they are going to present to an audience. That was the idea. That's how State of the Union started. And I remember when they came, they were so motivating in presenting. I cannot believe, like I myself was like, just had goosebumps when they started talking about the journey and all that, and the way they presented. I'm talking about 9 and 10-year-old kids here. And a whole bunch of parents got motivated. And I think Shalini is referring to that, right?
He joined as a whole family.
That's so nice, right? These small moments, how things change the direction of life. And, that's one thing I wanted to say to the audience here, right? See, it's one thing in life, these kind of events happen without you planning for it. That's when true motivation happens, where you just go there and just stand in one place, and suddenly one guy comes and talks about his story, and then that story makes an impression, and you think about that impression and said, wow, that was great, right? All of us have gone through that. But only few of them convert that into an actionable item after that. See, that is where I want to give as a small learning to our runners in this Shalini story. Everyone, first talent is to figure out when to get motivated. Make yourself easily motivatable. Don't just keep on having so much negativity that nobody can motivate you. Then, nobody will even come near you. So you got to be having a positive mindset so that when you hear a story, you are able to get your body's, whatever cells and everything to get yourself motivated. That's step one. Step two is what do you do after that? So every time you get motivated, you need to do some change in yourself, in your work, all that, then only the motivation can lend itself to a good outcome. I think Shalini is a great example right now. She got motivated and decided to do something that she has never, ever done. Couch to half marathon. And here she is, an assistant coach in exactly 2 years after that point. That is a story for the ages. Thank you, Shalini, for doing that. Fantastic. Nayana, how about you? What was your journey?
So like I said, I didn't really do too much running, right, in school or college. But what really happened is I moved to Hillsborough, where I live right now in New Jersey, about 11 years ago. And I met this great set of people. And for some reason, I don't know what it was, but we all decided to do running as a group activity at that point. And again, no experience with running. And someone proposed that we do the Newport Half. And we picked up some random training program on the net and decided that let's just, record it. I think it was in Google Sheets or something that we started recording our miles. And we decided to do the Newport Half. And after that, I proposed that we do the Philly Full as the next challenge. And, honestly, boy, once I crossed the finish line to the theme music of Rocky, I was hooked. There was absolutely no turning back from that point on. I did the Marine Corps after that, and then an ultra, and then the virtual New York City and the New York City Marathon after that. But the very important point for me, a very pivotal moment for me, was really when, it was COVID times and all of that, right? And I did the virtual New York City at that point, and then I got entry into the New York City Marathon. But it was, I don't know, I just, because of COVID and everything, there was there was a general, dissent of some sort, around. And then Indu came along, right? And she was like, there is this great program that I think will motivate you for your New York City Marathon. Because I was already signed up for the New York City Marathon, and I just didn't have the structure, or, I didn't know if I could go through with it. Although I had done a few marathons before, I can't explain that feeling around that COVID time,
of course,
where I was so completely out of sorts. And thanks to Indu, I got introduced to Runner's High with Bala, and, my New York City Marathon was epic. I got to say. So that's how I got into running. And then, of course, your program.
That's awesome. What a story this is, right, guys? This is another option, another way of getting in, right? So Runner's High is not just about couch too. It's also about folks like in Nayana's case. First time I got introduced to Nayana, she told me that she has done, a full marathon, couple of them. She also done an ultra. And now she's coming to me. First of all, I felt like, oh my God, I'm honored that somebody who is so like a special, like accomplished runner is even thinking of joining. I think she was one of the first few of the accomplished runners joining our group, with prior background. But then I realized that the art of running or training for a marathon, just because you've done 25 marathon doesn't mean that the 26th marathon you can take it lightly. It's back to square one. That's what the beauty about this sport is. You better respect it. It will keep giving you all the benefits, but you cannot afford to disrespect it by thinking I've done 3 marathons, 1 ultra, so New York City is going to be, no. Beauty about that is Nayana recognized that. That's what I give it. That's what I learned, that, the respect for the sport needs to continue every time, every season. It starts from ground zero. And she realized that, and she said, okay, let's get into a proper structured training program. And I know that we're going to talk about her journey. She learned a lot. She discovered so much more, even though she had done it before. She discovered a lot more about herself in her journey with Runner's High, and that's why she's again here. What a beautiful story in highlighting that portion as well. So there are some senior runners here who are doing the same. So tomorrow, when you are 4th season, 5th season, 7th season, The learning for you is just because you did 7 seasons doesn't mean anything. You get back to basic when the season starts, get back to CP runs, you will struggle just because, because all of us are in the amateur category. We are not the Kipchoges. We are all amateur categories. We are all fathers, mothers, sons, daughters. We have other things in life. So life takes over at some point. So you have to again come back to normal and start off. That's what Nayana did. And that's great, an example of that. Thank you, Nayana, for sharing that story. You did ultra. Where did you do your ultra? Maybe you did a 40-mile race? What distance?
No, it was a 50-kilometer race. So that was funny story about that. So it's in a... It's called the New Jersey Trail Series. So it's a trail. Most of the ultra marathons are trail ultra marathons, as you know. So it was on a trail, and it was a 3-day ultra marathon. So I was getting heckled throughout the race for chickening out at the 50-kilometer mark. I had grandmas and grandpas that were like heckling me. How come you're, getting out of the race at 50 kilometers? And they actually finished 200, 300 miles in the next 3 days. And these were like grandmas and grandpa. I cannot even begin to tell you. They're a crazy bunch, ultra marathoners, I gotta tell you.
I think it's a separate podcast we need to do for that now.
Oh, they're so wonderful.
It's amazing. Great. Indu, what about you? How did you get into running?
Actually, I told I was not a runner or an athlete or anything close to that. But I remember 2011, I just went to the gym to lose some weight, after my kids, and pretty much, all that extra weight, which I had gained. And then 2012, for some reason, I said, let me start running, because I was in India and there was no gym, there was only treadmill. And then I'm like, wow, this is fun. I mean, I felt good about myself. So I'm like, I started losing weight, and then I continued after I came back here, and I did my first 5K, no practice, nothing. I just did a 5K, and I think it was 29 minutes or something, under 30. I'm like, wow, this is exciting, because sub 30 was a big, or is a big deal. Even now I struggle to break that 30 actually. So then that's how I started. But then till 2018, it was just these 5Ks and 10Ks. And that's when I moved to the same community, what Nayana is talking about. And I met this wonderful group of runners who were all marathoners, actually. So I'm like, wow. And Nayana was my biggest support. She's like, yeah, after I did my first half marathon actually was after moving to this community. And then that's when me and Nayana started talking a lot about half marathons, and that's how I got into this. And then I know Coach Moninder from the yoga group. So I know he's not a runner. And then suddenly he starts talking about my coach will get upset. My coach says the HR is high. And I'm like, who is your coach? And then he says, there is this coach in Edison, Coach Bala. I'm like, okay. And then I told him I want to get into the next season, but somehow he missed or whatever, the timing did not work. And then December is when your last season started, season 5. And I didn't get into that. And then in the meanwhile, as you rightly told, I connected with pretty much all of them in 2 months. And then I actually became friends with Suja. And just before season 6 started, she texted me and said, you know what, you might want to reach to Madhavi because the registrations are on, and that's how I got into. And the reason why I wanted to get into RHWB, of course, the structure, training, and everything was there, but I always wanted to be a part of a community, of an encouraging, inspiring community. And that's actually, if I think about it, that's the main reason, I joined RHWB, and it's just been an amazing journey.
Wow. See, this Coach Indu has brought another beautiful point about running, and that is sort of the various phases of a amateur runner's journey, right? Phase 1 of an amateur runner's journey is that he or she doesn't even know what the hell he's doing, and somehow she or he jumps into it and then realizes that maybe I can do it. That is phase 1. Phase 2 is when you actually become good at it, either through training, either through, self-realization, whatever, all that good stuff. And then you go and collect medals, go and do races, you feel good, runners high, blah, 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 all that thing happens. I really think that is still a means to an end, because the end is phase 3, where running becomes life, where running is a way you enjoy life, not by just running, by the people you connect, by the sort of the positivity it generates, by the type of learning you can get peer-to-peer. And then you just do running because of the other things that running provides, whether it is going to Tokyo, enjoy the marathon vacation, whatever, or whether you go to Hawaii for a vacation and then go for a run and then enjoy the race or run on the beaches. These are all things that you would have never done if you are not a runner. So that peripheral thing is the most fun part of it. And that's exactly what Indu just talked about. And I know she means it. She actually enjoys it immensely. You know, the connects, the various things and the number of friends that we all have as a result of running. And when I say friends, you can meet someone that you have never met, but you know that they are part of this sort of community, and then have like 2 hours of conversation, because there is so much of common things that we can talk about. That's friendship. That's something that you can connect with. And that's what Indu experiences every day, day in and day out. And also thank you, Indu, for all the volunteering you do. You and Bala for the Runners High races. You know, one of the podcasts, some of the, guests talked to me about, he's a non-New Jersey sort of runner, decided to come to New Jersey to experience the Runners High race day. And he just was blown away by the camaraderie, the sort of the friendship, the everything that he experienced. And I told him that's just, and he was thanking me as if I did it. I said, no, I didn't do it. There were volunteer armies who did that. And, Indu, you are one of the representation of the volunteer army along with Bala. Thank you for that. Those are the things that you do beyond running. So awesome. Great, man. I'm just enjoying this conversation with all of you. So let's go back to Nayana this time. Nayana, now that you've entered this season training, talk to us a little bit about how your season training, structured training went, ups and downs. How did that go?
You know, honestly, my up and down is probably interlinked, if that makes sense. So, Bala, you were my coach for my last season, of course. And I think midway through, I think a couple of mesos down, you asked me if I wanted to maybe, because I had run a couple of marathons before, consider upping my training to the advanced full marathon training. And then, of course, I did a little bit of analysis. You and I went back and forth, and you were like, you can do it. And, somehow, the comfort zone is, I know this is how I do it, and I can do it this way. I'm like, I'm not so sure, but you convinced me, right? And like I said, that was the highlight of it. And yet, there were periods of time when that was also something that, because it was the advanced training, the mileage was amazing. And that kept me going. And yet at sometimes that was also something that held me back. But my point here is that even through the lows of that mileage, it still is the highlight of my training. 62 miles in a week. There was one week that we had 62 miles, if you remember. I cannot tell you the high. I felt like I was like, if I never run again, I don't care. This week made it. And that was also the week that we had the Runners High race as well.
Yeah.
If you remember. Yeah. And and it was really the combination of the Runners High race. It was not my final marathon day, but it was the Runners High race. I ran 22 miles that day. And then of course, 10 miles each day that particular week. That was the highlight. That was the highlight. The dread that I used to feel, that was the lows, because each day, you're going to run 10 miles each day. And at the end of that week, you're going to run 22 miles. I mean, the dread that I felt, but I'm so glad. I'm so glad I let you talk me into it, because I don't think, apart from my marathon, that week was probably the highlight of my running career. I got to say.
Absolutely. And guys, like how we have half marathon, introductory, then medium, and then advanced. When I started getting sort of like amazing runners like Nayana and Srivatsan and Deepak, I had to sort of up my game as well. So I kind of created this new cohort called Full Marathon Advanced. And that's what she's referring to. And Full Marathon Advanced is heavy duty running, 60, 65 miles peak. other miles are, it's not as if other weeks are suddenly low. 65 is one means, the other one is 55, which is like 20% more than more than the highest of the base level full marathoner. And it's a relentless running program. Like as she said, 10 miles is a rest day run. You know, it's like just to get your energy back is a 10-mile run. And then you go and do 22-mile run and then 18-mile run, 22-mile run. Like it's just pretty relentless. But it's meant for those folks who just want to take it to the sort of the running to the next level. And that's the experience you was talking about. And Nayana, you should also talk a little bit about, I think you went on a sort of a vacation to some high place. Was it Colorado or something?
Oh, yes. We went to Colorado, and that was, my goodness, I can't even begin to tell you. That was, I think we were in Telluride, and it was like 9,300 something above sea level at that point. I mean, a downhill run felt like I was hiking. That's how awful that was. And of course, I, had to run. I mean, to your point, Bala, I don't think I have ever experienced any, locale the way I do when I run. It's just you get to see little things that you would have definitely missed if you were in a car at that point. I promise you. Because that little flower, that little, I don't know, that beautiful photographic spot, it could be so many things that you could miss if you were in a car, versus when you run, you just slow down and you just enjoy. That's my biggest thing. I feel like that is my time to myself. That's no one else's time. That's my time when I'm running. And that's the biggest high, honestly.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. 2 points, guys. One is, when you go on altitude, which sometimes most of us go on vacations to altitude places, heart rate will rise because oxygen levels are low. And you got to be ready for it. And Nayana had that experience. She pinged me and I told her to slow down even more than what she will normally do. And she said, if you can't do 10 miles, just do 5 miles. Just go and run and experience it, but be aware of that. And she followed through. And the second beautiful point that she brought up, don't ever miss on destination runs. If there is one thing I want you to take away from what Nayana said is, don't think of your travel as some kind of a resistance to unfortunate training program. Early runners ping me and say, Bala, I'm going on a travel for 3 weeks, so I might have problems in running. I'm like, hey, hello, you are literally kidding me or what? Now is the time to actually go and do more runs in those places, because you're going to experience it. And that's exactly what they do. And they enjoy it. I travel a lot, at least before COVID, do it for my work. And man, this is just the most beautiful experience of traveling. Like I go and land at 12 o'clock in the night, put my bag in the hotel room and actually go out for a run at 12 o'clock in the night in this unknown city. It's crazy, but it is the most, I make sure that I take the hotel in a place where I can run on, beach and all that type of stuff, good stuff. So you can always manage all of that. It is the greatest experience. When you travel and when you run, as Nayana said, you can experience things you have never experienced before. Why so much? All of us are very close to New York City. One run, go and run through Wall Street. Just take it from me, guys. All the guys who are in Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York, one long run this weekend, wear your stuff, take the New Jersey Transit, whatever you need to do. Start your run around the 15th or 16th Street in the Soho area, and then run through the Chinatown and into Wall Street, around the Bull, and come to World Trade Center. Think of it as a downtown run. If you have not run it, go and do it. It'll be the greatest experience of experiencing New York City. You will know what New York City is when you run. Okay, make sure you do that. In fact, I'm thinking of a long run exactly this season. And I want all of you New Jersey runners to make sure you join me, okay, for that run. It'll be a great run. Okay. Indu, what about you? How was your experience during the season?
I had a very good training season. That was my first marathon. So when I think back, what I realize is that maybe I could have done a half marathon with any of those plans which were over the net, because I had done a few in the past. But the way the training was put together along with the strength, that actually helped me with those 16 weeks of training. So I used to look forward to the training plans being uploaded on Final Search, So I used to plan ahead of time so that, I just planned all my days based on what I needed to do. And pretty much for full marathon, I know we had both strength and run on the same day. So it was a good 2.5 hours, which used to go in combined. So that was time management. So what this whole marathon training taught me was discipline and time management. So, and then of course, as I was in the last meso, I had injured my ankle, but I didn't have my race along with the RSW race. I had some buffer time. So that's when I talked, and Bala, you were my coach. So we had a discussion and you said, you know what, don't do anything for 2 weeks. It's okay. You need that ankle to rest. And I'm really thankful that I listened to that advice, because being a runner, that temptation, especially I'm on Strava and I'm seeing people are doing 5 miles, 6 miles, 7 miles, and here I am doing nothing. So that was difficult for me, actually. Honestly, I felt, would I even make it till the marathon? Because literally I had stopped running. But I gave my ankle a break. I did all what was needed to support my ankle. And then I was back on track. Of course, my last meso, I did it little later. And I eased out little on mileage. If my plan had 4 miles, I probably did 2.5 or 3, because I knew what my end goal was. So I really thank you for all, and the whole community, because after I got back on running again after my ankle thing, all the messages started coming that, you know what, you got this, and that actually meant a lot for me. So, this is what, if I have to summarize my full marathon training, here it is.
Amazing. Few golden nuggets out there, guys. One, training, having a successful training season is about planning and time management. Okay, don't jump into it blindly. This is best in class way of approaching this, which is wait for the meso to be loaded. Literally, there are folks here, you know who you are, I'm talking about, that who don't even read the instruction before going for a run, and then do a 4-mile run and then saying, why are you doing CP when I'm asking you to do the strides? Said, oh my God, Bala, I'm sorry, I forgot to read the instruction. There are folks like that. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have Indu, who waits for the entire meso to be uploaded so that she can plan the next 3 weeks. That's best in class here. You should know what is best in class. That is because you need to manage your time. You need to manage this is how respecting training looks like. You should know what is best in class. This is best in class. Okay, I want you to keep that in mind. The second beautiful nugget was around injury. Everyone will get injured. It's like COVID. Everyone has to get Omicron, it looks like that. Everyone will get COVID. You can run, literally pun intended, but you can't hide from injury. So part of the training is how you manage yourself mentally during injury. So it's almost, think of it as mental training. Not doing anything when you are in the middle of the season, trust me, is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. It is not the 20-mile run. It is after doing 15-mile run and then suddenly 2 weeks, you're seeing the world literally run by you and you are just sitting and watching. Frustrating it'll be, I can guarantee you, but that is part of the training. Mental strength, ability to know when to hold back is part of the training. And that is what Indu explained to her through her own experience. And keep that in mind. You all might have the same, God forbid, but you all might have somewhat similar experience one time or the other. It is just a question of what you do during that time. Okay. Shalini, what's your story?
This time, the training went very well, but I had to take a week off in August for a family wedding, my husband's cousin's daughter's wedding. It was held in the temple close by, and our home was the main center, so I had no other option but to take the whole week off. I mean, we wanted to enjoy the wedding as well because it's a rare, opportunity. So after that, everything was fine, no issues. Like Indu, I also planned my week ahead. But this was the first time I had an injury during training. I usually have some aches and pains, which usually goes away. I try not to miss any runs, but this time I had a hip sprain and I had to cut short my long run. So I was a little worried, but and during that time, after the injury, I did some strength and stretching, and then somehow once I became better, it was okay. So that was that. And as Bala mentioned, injury will happen to everyone. We do not know when, but it will, because I had an injury in December and the whole 4 weeks, I had to take 4 weeks off and it was hell. Like you said.
Exactly.
It was real hell. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to go to Strava. It was depressing.
So true. It is frustrating, right? But that is there is a success in that, right? Imagine 2 years ago, would you have ever felt this way? The very fact, like what Nayana was saying, even the low is a high. The low that you're feeling frustrated because you can't run is actually a high. How much you've come in life in terms of in this journey, right? It's so beautifully said. And Shalini, this is your 6th or 5th season, right? Consecutively,
Sixth
season, right?
Wow.
So totally 7 seasons. First season was for kids only. So that means she's been there for all the seasons without fail.
Yes.
Right? So if I have to, and I've been a coach all through her 6 seasons.
Yes.
And if I have to reminisce her journey, I don't think she missed anything ever. If injury is taken out and if that 1 week thing is taken out, I don't think so she missed anything. Think about that. 6 seasons, every run, every strength, everything is done. Check marks. Few people are there. Only few people are there like that. That just tells you dedication, resilience, having fun need to come together to make that happen. And health-wise, boy, I'll tell you one small anecdote. My mom saw Dr. Shalini before the start of the 5-season journey. Okay. And then next time she sees it, she goes back India, blah, blah, blah. She stays for 1 year and then she comes back again. And then I picked her up from the airport, and it so happened that I had to come directly to Dr. Shalini's house to drop off something. So she is like...
Raghuprasad also came. He
came something, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Drop off her husband, actually, right? Because I picked them up from the airport. Yeah. And then my mom sees Dr. Shalini, is like, oh my God, that was her first reaction. Like, what is this? Like in 2 years, she just transformed herself so much. My mom was saying, like, she looks like a young girl. She's so much fit. She's lost so much of weight. She's shining. She went on. And we didn't realize because we are seeing constantly 5 seasons of continuous running. So that's what happens when you're dedicated. So that's a great inspirational moment for me. Thank you, Shalini, again, for all that great stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. So let's get back to Indu this time. Take us into your race day experience. I know that you did a first full marathon just a couple of months ago. So would love to hear what happened during that time.
So actually, like I told in my previous message that I was my ankle was injured. And so my last 2-3 weeks was not as I would have wanted it to be. I had to take it little light, both on the, on the distance and the pace as well. So it's actually very funny how this is a mind game, because I actually have a coffee mug, which says, "You got this." So every day morning, I used to have my coffee in that cup and think for 2 minutes. I had a good training till I had myself injured. I had 5 in all the mesocycles. It's not even a strength which I missed. Yeah. And then of course, towards the end, I lost 0.25 points, which I need to get it back somehow. But then I used to think, you know what? I had a great training. So what I did was, when I was drinking coffee, my morning coffee in that cup, all I thought is my training. And I believed in that. And I knew that, you know what, my race day is going to be a piece of cake. And that's what it was. I know logistically, my husband was in India and there was a lot of things going on, but then everything fell into place like a miracle. And then ride to Philly, my kids, Naina got my kids there. My other friends came to cheer me because my husband was in India. So it was just a miracle. And then of course, race, the first 12 miles, 13 miles was just, it was just like, it was easy. Then 15 was also fine. But then Philly, technically, usually it's a flat course, but I think because of whatever bridge closes and all that, they had changed it to a hilly course. The hills got me. And so at the 17th or 18th mile, when my glutes was telling that, you know what, I can do this. There were 2 things a runner could have thought at that point. one, this is going to be my last marathon ever. I'm never going to do this. Or probably people like me who kept thinking, you know what? Next time, this is not going to happen to me. I'm just going to increase my strength so much and have all that glute strength. So the hills don't get me, I get them. And then of course, after 20, 22 miles, things got really tough. And 24th mile, Naina was with my kids and friends. And the first thing I told Naina is, you know what, Naina, next marathon, I am just going to the strength is not, I'm just going to up my game. That's the first sentence. I don't know, Naina, if you remember
I
that.
totally remember. And I'm like, babe, you're finishing the marathon. Let's go. She's like, no, next marathon. I'm not doing this.
And then, of course, the last 2 miles, we all kind of finished it together. They kind of ran with me till the finish line. So bottom line, it was not giving up at any given point, because when I was injured, there were people who told me, hey, you know what? Just don't worry about it next year. And that time they had that option of deferring to next year because of COVID. But I'm like, no, I'm going to get through this. And so that was my race day. Of course, crossing the finish line of my first marathon, very special. Rocky steps, very special. And just seeing your friends there cheering for you. I mean, just that even now when I see that video, it just brings tears to my eyes, because people, Kritika, I mean, I knew Kritika only through RH. She came all the way to Philly just to cheer me. I mean, that means a lot to me. So you know, that was my race day experience, and that medal with that Liberty Bell, oh, it's very special. So
I'm sure it's one of those highest points of your life. I'm sure you had a lot of high. This is definitely up there, the top 5, maybe. Yeah. First time crossing a full marathon. So one other good nugget there, guys, strength training. You know the importance of strength training at mile 18, 19 in a full marathon and mile 9, 10 in a half marathon. That's when the muscle starts crying. And that's when you realize where exactly it is crying is exactly the place where you need to do strength training. And most of the times the glutes causes, if glute is strong, everything becomes, strong, because it propels the running propels. We'll talk a little bit more in the weekend walk with the coach as well on that point. But that's so valid. And you're right, Indu. The first time when you cross the finish line of a full marathon, that runner's high, I'm sure your body was in pain, but you really enjoyed the pain. I'm sure that was your mind state, right? Really nice. It's great. I almost had some little bit of goosebumps when you were saying that. I could, experience that feeling. So fantastic. Shalini, sorry, go ahead. What is it?
No, I was just saying pain, when you cross the finish line, you don't even, in fact, 24th mile, when I saw them, the pain was already gone. So.
Yeah. Some runner was saying, who was this? I'm trying to remember. It is like, it seems, of course, I haven't experienced it, but, moms will identify what I'm saying. It is like almost childbirth, where childbirth, all pain, discomfort, everything. But the minute the child is born, after that, nobody remembers the discomfort. It's all the happiness, and the child's face takes care of everything else. That is what she told me, and I could sort of sense that, how it was. And guys, as I said, full marathon is 3 half marathon. It's not 2 half marathon in terms of effort. So it's a lot. It's a full marathon is not a normal thing for a normal human body. So it is a superhuman effort is required to make that happen. So well done, great. How long it took you to complete the full marathon?
5 hours, 49 minutes, something like that.
My goodness, 5 hours, 49 minutes of continuous running. That's something. That's phenomenal. Congratulations. Dr. Shalini?
Yeah, I decided to run at Johnson Park. There was some logistics questions. So, and I had signed up when the Boston Virtual Marathon came. I signed up because, I will never qualify for Boston, but when the virtual came up, I just wanted the medal. So I signed up for that. So the day was beautiful day. I started in the dark, 6 o'clock in the morning, and my husband was with me till the, the twilight, came up, It was really good. The first few miles were a breeze as usual, no issues. And I had prepared myself with all the hydration, whatever gels I needed. Then my husband had to do some work, so he left, and I was on my own, and the miles just blew through. I never had any difficulty. So, and after that, my husband was nowhere to be seen. He never came back. He was supposed to bring me something to eat because I do eat during the runs. So, and then I called him, and then he missed me. Where are you? Where are you? We're just talking and running, and then so he met me somewhere. I thought I may hit the wall at 20 miles, but luckily I didn't somehow, So 22nd mile, I felt a little bit tired, but no cramps, luckily this time. And then, I just finished, and at the finish line, when I was posing, many people were applauding me, when they saw the Boston Marathon, that thing. So it was really, nice.
Dr. Shalini makes it literally look like she just went for a walk in the park, Yeah, I went there, and then first 13, 14 miles, I didn't even think about it. And then around mile 20, a little pain was there. And then suddenly I saw somebody was applauding me, and that's how I finished my full marathon. I'm like, what the hell? And she's not even trying to make it, very cool. This is the actual fact. This is how she went and did her full marathon. Now let me blow all your mind with another important sort of metric here. So I know this is Dr. Shalini's third full marathon, I think. Okay. And Shalini, in the second full marathon, Shalini had like crazy sprain, like a sprain that was a debilitating cramp. Debilitating cramp. Normal human beings, when you have a debilitating cramp, you just sit down and that's the end of it all. But Dr. Shalini is Dr. Shalini for no reason that she's got the name called Dr. Shalini. So she just decided it doesn't matter, cramp is happening. Okay, I'm a doctor. Let me sit down, take rest. Sat on the road for some time. I think whatever time she woke up and stood up and then just went and completed the full marathon. That was a second full marathon journey. So Shalini, what was your PR improvement in this third journey? What was
I think about 90 minutes.
90 minutes. Wow. 1 hour, 30 minutes she shaved off. From the story that she just now said, where she just went like this, did like that walk in the park full marathon, truly a walk in the park because she shaved off 90 minutes of a PR, unheard of numbers. I think in our sort of RSWB season stats, I think this is the largest PR shave off. That's just amazing. So how much you finished in the third, this marathon?
6 hours, 24 minutes.
6 hours, 24 minutes is what she finished. So you can imagine that means with the cramp that she ran, she did for almost 8 hours. That's Iron Lady definition, guys. That's Iron Lady definition. When you decide on something, you just go and get it done, period. Doesn't matter. Sun, hot, cold, pain, cramps, water, husband coming, not coming, all of that, or just incident, side note, focus is getting it done. That's really what she does. That's why she is Dr. Shalini. That's why she's AC Dr. Shalini. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Doc. Okay, Nayana, let's talk about you. What's yours? How was your day like?
Sure. I'm going to say something about Shalini now. She actually, I don't know if you remember, Bala, she drove to the to the completion of your race. Yes. She walks out just like absolutely nothing happened. I was like, how's this woman walking right now?
This is after finishing her full marathon.
She drove from wherever and she's like just sitting there cool as a cucumber. So many kudos to you.
Absolutely. Point very well.
Really
very
cool.
Good point.
Really cool. Yeah. So about my race day, just 3 weeks before my race day, after the 22 miler, right? Suddenly I got this into me that, oh my God, I'm going to climb the Verrazano Bridge, which is 180 whatever feet up. I have never trained on 180 feet up. I decided to do that on that day, just right after the 22 miler. And I injured myself so badly. I made 2 calls, one to Suja and 3 calls, Indu, Suja and Deepak. And they all coached me through how Deepak was so mad. He was like, really? Just like the day, 2 weeks before, you'd have to do this. But anyway, they coached me through, a couple of things. That's exactly what, you mentioned, right, Bala, the camaraderie. I mean, I had 3 people that jumped right on the phone with me and, explained what I should be doing, to make sure that the pain goes away. But the night before the race, I called you. And you walked me through the plan that this is exactly what's your pace, goal pace. And you walked me through exactly how much I should be running through. Permanent marker, it was on my hand here. And that's what I took with me to the race. I literally ran the race to plan. Like I did not deviate from the plan. I trained to the plan, first of all, and I ran to the plan that, obviously you created for me for the race. And I mean, the race day itself, I'm going to read out something I posted on Facebook, if that's okay with you.
Sure, of course.
So I wrote older, by the way, that was my PR, New York City Marathon, 5:37. So this is what I wrote: older, stronger, faster, words that I never imagined would cross my mind as I toured the finish line at the New York City Marathon, 8 years after I finished my first one. The last time I rode the Staten Island ferry was on 9/11. We were being rushed onto the ferry away from the falling towers and the burning city. 20 years later, I was on the same ferry, this time taking joyous, hopeful marathoners to the start line. Closure came unexpectedly and fittingly when this time we all scaled the Verrazano and ran toward that beautiful city and the gleaming tower. After that, it was a 26.2-mile party in the city, in which Bala and Indu came to cheer me on, which was just absolutely, the highlight of my life. I don't think I've experienced a high quite as much at this point.
Amazing. And what a beautiful way of nice. You captured that. I think I request all runners, once they finish it, you should capture it like what she did in Facebook, whatever, because those are true feelings that will come out at that time of success. And so it's glad that I'm so happy that you actually shared what you wrote. I think that was a Facebook post, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
So that's so beautiful. What a nice capture of, where to where you have come: older, stronger, faster. Wow. I mean, you're right. How can these three come into combination? But that applies to pretty much all of us here. I think
all of us.
I have never been so fit in my life. I'm sure all of us can say the same thing. Older. In fact, I want to.
Absolutely.
Maybe, Nayana, you should submit this as our next season tagline. Huh?
Tagline, right? Yeah.
It's a very nice tagline. I agree.
It's a beautiful tagline.
I will go for that. Yeah.
Older, stronger, faster.
Faster. For most of us,
For most of us, it captures it beautifully, the journey. And also, you're right. It was so nice to actually, it was Indu who organized our visit to come and, connect with you. I saw your husband and your son was, doing everything that they could do to somehow connect with you in that madness called New York City Marathon. Finding the runners itself was so hard. I missed, there were other runners of my friends who were also running, couldn't connect with any of them. I was like, the only runner I connected was you. And that too, because your husband made some magical arrangement in, tracking you during the run. So it was so nice to see you run. And I think I saw you in mile 14 or 15, I think. And
17, I think. Yeah.
Correct. You were just powering through. I was like, okay, this girl is ready today. I could see the way you were like really face-wise, body-wise, you are not really showing any signs of exhaustion. And then I'm so glad that you said this plan thing. I totally agree. That's a golden nugget there. Plan your work and then work your plan. That should be the way, not just for the race day, but that's what Indu also talked about, how she plans the work. That's a very key concept. Plan your work and then work your plan. Beautiful stories, guys. It's just, I can't, time just flew by chatting with you. So let's bring this home. Let's start with you, Nayana. A few words of advice to new runners, that there are about 200 plus new runners this time. That's a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to listen to this. So what's your few words that they should be thinking about?
I think, so the only one thing that I know we've already discussed so much, right, already. The one thing is, don't be afraid of stretch goals, right? Because I think your program allows people to be in their comfort zone and also stretch them out of their comfort zone. So just don't be afraid, of the extra mile. Don't be afraid of that extra, the strides. Yeah. Every little thing is going to contribute to that beautiful culmination of your final race day. Trust me, it is all worth it. I don't think I have ever enjoyed a race as much as I did my last race with you, Bala. I mean, because each element of the training program really made it all happen. So don't be afraid to, stretch your goals, because greatness was never achieved within the confines of your comfort zone. So don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone.
Beautiful. Greatness was never achieved within the confines of your comfort zone. That's a quote that I'll remember. Beautiful, beautiful words, Nayana. Thank you. Shalini?
Yeah, first stick to the training plan, follow Coach Bala. All these are standard. Most of us will tell. The other thing I would like to add, don't try anything new on your race day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that may lead to disaster. So, try everything before. During your third mesocycle, you should have done all the things that you're supposed to do.
So you're saying don't stretch your comfort zone on the race day. So true.
I mean, it may look like contradicting, but for most of us, I think that is the...
No, that is, stretching a comfort zone doesn't mean blindly stretching it every day. Right? There is a method to the madness here.
Yeah.
Which is what Nayana is talking about. Like when you're stretching comfort zone, there is a structured way of doing that.
Yeah.
That is what the secret is about.
Yeah.
So it is not contradictory at all. It makes total sense. Total sense. Good point. Good point. Indu?
What I would say is just trust your training program, your coach, do your homework. I know the training homework is probably listening to those podcasts, finding time for it. Maybe as a mom, you're busy. So I needed to find my time. When I was in the kitchen, I used to play these podcasts and get one small thing which would change that week's run. So that is something which I would recommend to new people. And then finally, this saying always stays with me, that if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. So that always is in, I tell myself and my kids too. So it's just, that's what I would suggest to new runners out there.
Beautiful words, beautiful words. They say, repetition definitely doesn't spoil the prayer. So we should keep repeating some of the basics because it's just brilliant basics, guys. If you think that, I didn't have time, so I didn't listen to the podcast, that's the lamest excuse I can ever listen to, right? You are telling yourself that you wouldn't have time to put some investment on yourself. That's really what it means. I don't care whether you listen to my podcast or not. If you think about it, right? I'm giving it to you as a gift. I'm giving you a gift. And if you tell me that, you didn't have time to open up the gift, then what does it tell you as a receiver of that gift? You should ask yourself, then why was I even in a position to receive the gift? Do I even deserve that gift? Or in other words, if you have decided to be in a structured training program, that decision means nothing if you do not accept the structured lessons given to you. So if you tell me you don't have time to do this, that just tells me that you didn't give seriousness to the gift that has been given to you. There are many ways to listen to all of this. That's why we do this recording. That's why it's in a WhatsApp. We're trying to make it easier so that you are going to run. So just stick your earphone into it and just play it and just keep running. Before you know, you have listened to everything. That's all. And it's not just about listening. It's also about thinking about it. Then only to Indu's beautiful point so that you can change that one thing. This week, one thing, if you keep changing 16 weeks, you are 16 times better than what you were. And boom, before you know, you are like crushing the New York City Marathon like Nayana and others. That's what is the bottom line here, guys. And this doesn't apply only to new runners. Every time I listen to the same podcast, I actually learn more because these are not rocket science, but these are things that you need to think. First time when you listen to it, you only thought a little bit. Second time when you listen to it, you will think a little bit more, right? So that is the learning. So it's about repeating the basics is what is going to drive actual lifelong learnings. So with that, guys, what a beautiful conversation with the three Iron ladies here. Thanks for sharing your experiences. Thanks for motivating if not millions, but definitely hundreds of runners, who are looking to be like you all. It's just so nice to see that you guys are sort of leading this community with your thoughts. And thank you again for the coaches, Shalini and Indu, for also going the extra bit and doing your part there. Thank you guys. It's been a phenomenal 1 hour of chat with all of you, and looking forward to continuing this journey with all of you for many seasons to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Bala.
Thank you.
Thank you.